My name is Raylene Hassel, and I'm the Senior Aboriginal Policy Officer in DV New South Wales, and it is a privilege to, of all places today, I'm sitting in Lismore in the Koori Mail, the iconic Koori Mail, and you never know where you're going to end up. And it is it's a beautiful surprise to be sitting in beautiful Bundjalung country, in an iconic organisation that has done so much advocacy for our social justice struggles in for mob. I thought, okay, today being the start of NAIDOC week, or part of NAIDOC week, and as well as the fact that I'm here at the Koori Mail, I thought I'd just give a little bit of a what's the headlines today? And the headline for this edition is a wanted poster and an issue on the Aboriginal or the elders in Tasmania, and it is all about care and not guts out of. And so how ironic it is that we still call out for the significant importance of caring for land and looking after one another, for without her, we'll all get sick. As soon as Mother Earth gets sick, we all get sick. And that was one of the speeches that I gave to my kids when they were going to school in Penrith Public School. And it rings true for ways of caring, years, thousands of years of tradition for caring for land. We keep continuing with all sorts of the other second part on the headlines of the Koori Mail is where Emma Donovan, I don't know if you know her, but she's a famous singer, and she couldn't get a taxi from the Perth airport. And so she's currently taking the taxi services through to the Anti-Discrimination Board. So there are many issues, particularly even within the DFB space. So I do enter in today with a little bit of a heavy shoulders, particularly with knowing that we keep on continuing on to be loud, be proud, and be Black, and give no apologies for that. And so that's what strengthens not only me, but all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women and men communities with fighting for those social justice causes that impact our people. We will never stop being loud and proud and Black and keep the fire burning. So welcome everyone, and I hope and I know that listening to Ashley today, who is CEO of Mudgin Aboriginal Women's Centre, that we will get to have a conversation. And I hope it will be a conversational piece where we can pop in between myself and Ashley as we go through, but Ashley will be presenting, and also it's a privilege and an honour to listen to her today. So that's it for me, Delia.
Thanks, Ray. What I'm excited about today. So just before we introduce Ashley, I'm just going to give a couple of DVNSW updates and then hand over. So on to a brief domestic violence New South Wales update. Last week we saw the new coercive control legislation come into effect, which was the focus of our June sector chat, which saw over 270 registrations. On this important topic, we have developed a podcast series, Coercive Control, Conversations That Count, which we launched yesterday, featuring a conversation with Jess Hill. Each week we will release a new episode, and next week will be a deep dive into the legislation with Dr. Jane Wangman, which I think will be really great. The podcast is found on Podbean. We're going to pop a link in the chat now, and please keep an eye out on the weekly digest that we put out to our members and our social media each week for a new episode. We're really proud of that work, and we're really grateful to everyone who's contributed. Also on the subject of coercive control, we're pleased to announce more coercive control training sessions through the Centre for Community Welfare Training, ACWA's training arm. Following your feedback that more was needed, places have been increased. They are filling up fast, so please register as quick as you can, and the link for that training is available in the chat box. In the policy and advocacy space, we've been moved. Sorry. It's okay.
She's heading to the airport. She's about to head to the airport.
If you can pop on mute, if you can pop on mute, everyone, that would be great. Thank you. So in the policy and advocacy space, we're moving through lots, including rental reforms, eliminating no grounds evictions, the use of character references in court, staying home, leaving violence programme design discussions with DCJ, and much more to be shared as soon as we can. We're meeting with Minister Jackson this Friday, where we hope to hear more about the housing announcements made in the 24-25 budget, and will of course provide key updates. I must also remind you that as members, you receive discounted prices for the 2024 conference. Early bird pricing is still available until the 31st of July. The link to register for the conference is also in the chat box now. Our next sector chat will be on the 13th of August. In this session, we'll be looking at financial abuse and including presentations from CBA's Next Chapter and Good Shepherd. Don't miss it. Finally, before we move on to today's sector chat, I just want to acknowledge the horrific events we're facing daily, those reported in the media and those that don't appear on the media, that we address in our workday every day. It can feel relentless, but know every day you're making a difference. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Find space to breathe and recoup. The work is heartbreaking, but it's vital we're in this together. We know what needs to be done, and we will keep at this no matter what. Thank you. Now on to the incredible Ashley, who Raylene will introduce. Thank you.
I am very honoured and privileged to hand it over to Ashley Donoghue, who is a proud Dunghutti woman, and she was born and raised in Kempsey and is currently the CEO of Mudgin Gulls Aboriginal Women's Centre. Aboriginal Corporation Women's Centre. I also have had the privilege of working with Ashley, and she serves on the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Steering Committee for DV New South Wales. And so since taking up my position around about 14 months ago, I am very privileged to have her care and her straight talking ways in increasing Aboriginal women's voices within or across the family and community violence sector. Ashley is a powerful advocate for anti-violence messages, and I'm sure that will be a big focus in her presentation today. And she has coordinated several anti-violence campaigns. She also is a self-published author with her own memoir, Because I Loved Him, which is a personal account of love, motherhood, domestic violence and survival. So I'm pleased to introduce you to Ashley and hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Raylene, for that lovely introduction. Can everyone hear me? Because I've just taken myself off mute, so yeah, good. So my name is Ashley Donoghue. I am a proud Dunghutti woman born and raised in Kempsey on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. And as such, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land we all, wherever we may be at the moment. For me, it's the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. Pay my respect to elders past and present, and to everybody tuned in today that is doing this work around the anti-violence message in whatever form, shape or way you're doing it, because I believe that even though some of us may not see eye to eye, we've all got the same end goal, and that is to eliminate violence against women and children. And I really don't care how we get there, as long as we get there, and I think we get there together. I will be talking really about Mudgin Gull today, but before I do that, because of the astronomical number of deaths and the children that have just passed away, I ask that we all just take 1 minute silence before I get started. And so I've got my little timer on here, so I'll do it now. So if we could just all sit in silence for 1 minute, that would be great. And we're going to start, oh, geez. Sorry, now. Thank you, everyone. I think it's really important that we acknowledge the women and children that have been murdered by violence, whether it be domestic violence or whatever, you know, violence. People are saying it is because the statistics just aren't hitting where they're supposed to hit, you know. It's like it's so nonchalant now, like, you know, the numbers. What's the latest number of women murdered this year by violence, regardless if it's domestic violence or, you know, just stranger violence or whatever, but violence is violence. Does anyone know?
I think
It's 48 or something.
Yeah, I think we're up to 49 now.
49. Yeah. So
Yeah.
49 women, you know, and children. I don't know if that's including the children. But you say those statistics, you say the 1 in 3 women, you know, and that's if you've got 3 daughters, what you're saying is one of those daughters is going to be affected by violence. Everyone, I'm pretty sure the majority of humans have 3 women that they love. So that statistics are saying one of those women. And when you say that, it doesn't hit home anymore because they're just thrown, you know, the women's names just, if they're lucky to make the media, are just there for a, you know, a grab and then they're gone. And I really believe that Shirley Moody does not get enough recognition for all the work that she does, because if she wasn't doing the work, all the other people that follow suit with the counting murdered women wouldn't know if it wasn't for Shirley. So she's got her finger on the button. And I just want to mention that because I really don't think that she gets enough recognition or you know, and I don't know what her advocacy looks like out of reporting on, but all I know is that the information she gives is above and beyond. So anyway, I'm here today not to talk about Shirley or that stuff, although, you know, I always like to highlight the women that I think I don't even know, I've never met her. Anyway, see, here I go rambling. That's why I need a PowerPoint, ladies and gentlemen. There's a need there. And I've just seen it there, so here we go. So I just introduced myself. I'm going to be talking about Mudgin Goal. So Mudgin Goal means women's place, and it was founded in 1992 in Redfern. And it's unique because it's entirely run by and for Aboriginal women. And it is really the only one in the space of that. But I'm going to give you a little bit of history on Mudgin Goal. So Mudgin Goal Aboriginal Corporation Women's Centre is located in the heart of Redfern. So if any of you have been to Redfern, it's just off the block. It stands as a beacon of support, empowerment and resilience for Aboriginal women. It's a journey that is deep and entwined with the broader history of the Aboriginal rights movement in Australia, reflecting the community's struggles and triumphs over the years. A lot of people wouldn't acknowledge that or know that about Mudgin Goal, but you know, we've been here 32 years. It actually came out, the origins trace back to the South Sydney Women's Centre in the early 1990s. So it was initially established as a resource for women of all cultures, but the centre gradually evolved into a pivotal meeting place and a support hub, an advocacy centre specifically for Aboriginal women. And that's because of its proximity to the block. Like I said, the block is just directly across the road. On the 17th of June, 1992, key members of the centre recognised its potential to significantly impact Aboriginal women and their families and decided to incorporate it under the Aboriginal Councils and Associations Act 1976, and thus Mudgin was born. So that's the history of Mudgin. Mudgin is a wonderful place. I often attain Mudgin as a saving my life because I've worked at Mudgin 3 times. I've had three rounds of Mudgin. The first time was I come down from Kempsey. I was in a terrible domestic violence relationship with 2 young children, and there was a bookkeeper's position. I'd gone to TAFE during the night when the father of my children was doing one of his jail stints. Every time he went to jail, I kind of went and got educated, and that's why I also believe education saved me and why I can sit here and talk as confidently and as openly and as freely as I do. And so I went for the job, and I got the job. And so I often say that had Mudgin not found me, I may not be sitting here right now. Because when I came to Mudgin, it was a centre of all Aboriginal women, and I'd never ever heard any group of women speak so openly about domestic violence as I did then. And the realisation was, oh my God, that's me. And where in my own life, because when you're in it, you can't see past the end of your own nose, I thought I was okay, or there was some kind of, that's just what happens mentality. And I often say this when I talk around the anti-violence message, is that the majority of women do not think they're going to be murdered if they're in a domestic violence relationship. They don't think, oh my God, he's going to kill me, unless of course there's a weapon or his hands around your throat already. That's when the thought goes in. But when it's just that normality in your mind of, oh, here he goes again, a lot of women don't think that they're going to be murdered. And so that's another thing that needs to be highlighted in the anti-violence message. So today, Mudgin is incorporated under the Corporations Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Act. And that act is 2006. It stands as the only women's centre in New South Wales run by and for Aboriginal women, and one of the few of its kind nationally. I believe every suburb needs a Mudgin. There needs to be a place for Aboriginal women to just go and be. And as I mentioned earlier to the ladies when we had a little brief beforehand, Mudgin is a place where Aboriginal women will come rather than go to the police. And we've had 8 women walking off the street in the last 3 weeks who've come here because they didn't want to go to the police. So that says a lot about the power of Mudgin and having an Aboriginal Women's Centre. So for nearly 20 years, Mudgin operated out of an inner city terrace house provided rent-free by the City of Sydney Council, who've always supported us in a variety of ways, I will add. So we're nestled in the heart of Redfern, Waterloo. And in the year 2000, the organisation moved into this brand new building right next door. Well, it wasn't brand new because the NCIE workers worked here in this building before the NCIE was established up on the old Redfern school area, if you know about Redfern. But it's directly next door to the terrace house. So this was facilitated by the Indigenous Land Corporation. So the centre location has cemented Mudgin as a local institution and a safe haven for Aboriginal women, hence why I just told you that story of the 8 women in the last 3 weeks who've walked in our doors because they didn't want to go to the police. Mudgin development has been organic. It's directly responding to the genuine needs of our community. With 32 years first-hand experience, our organisation has navigated through trials, errors, failures, and increasing successes, leading to the creation of an innovative service and programs that are truly effective. And that's largely because we have autonomy over the programs that we produce and write here at Mudgin. These services encompass Mudgin daily operations, providing a welcoming presence as a drop-in centre, because initially we are a drop-in centre, so we do not have a criteria. Any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander woman walk through our door, we will do the very best to service and help and guide them in whatever way they choose. We're not sitting there thinking, oh, you need this, this, and this. What we do is we actively listen and we do whatever they want us to do within our capacity. So we offer dedicated programs in areas such as family support, 1,000 Days program, which is a program that's established to prevent the removal of Aboriginal of babies from Aboriginal women at birth. And that comes through if they get birth alerts and things, and if they engage with us, then it reduces the the actual fact that children get removed. And as I'm sure everyone sitting here today knows, that Aboriginal women sit in the highest percentage of child removal in this country. So it's a crucial program. We don't get a lot of funding for that program, but we do a lot of work in preventing our women having their babies removed from birth. Our centre also has our first actual domestic violence caseworker. So in the 32 years that this organisation has been in service, it has never, and I repeat that, never been funded by the government for a domestic violence program or a sexual assault program. It's never been funded under any organisation, under any stream of government funding, and yet Aboriginal women sit in the highest percentage of everything violent in this country. So that boggles the mind too. We also offer referrals for accommodation, legal and medical support, and court support. So as a drop-in centre, we have a washing machine and dryer service. We have a clothes bin. We have where women can have a shower. We get a lot of rough sleepers, which is the term that's used now, that come in, and we've got a lounge thing upstairs that just rolls out into a bed. We have 3 regular ladies that come in that just want to sleep, probably because they haven't had a good night's sleep living on the streets. So they'll have a shower, we'll make them a feed, give them some clothes, they'll go upstairs and they'll sleep from 9 to 5 when we leave. And then we go and check in on them, make sure they're right. And then they'll get up and then they'll go. And then they'll come back, in a couple more days or a couple more weeks. And because we don't have any homeless support or mental health workers or any of that, we just do what they want us to do. And right now it's working, and we get worried when we don't see them because we think, oh, we hope nothing's, drastically happened, which, really, when women are living rough, it's a high percentage, especially Aboriginal women with mental health, that can happen. So our presence continues to play a crucial role in the lives of many Aboriginal women and their families. And we embody a legacy of resilience, empowerment, and community solidarity. So the community trust us, the women trust us, and our confidentiality policy is ironclad. So when people talk about Mudgin, or they see things that's on social media, and that's all the fun things, but we can't talk about, all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes because of our confidentiality. We can do it as I just explained it, but we won't ever give out names. We won't ever name where they come from or anything like that because of the confidentiality that we hold here. Because our work is to help Aboriginal women. That is what we do. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women. That is what we do. And that's what is unique about us, and that's our focus. Our mission has always been to provide culturally appropriate services that promote the health, safety and wellbeing of Aboriginal women and their families. Our centre focuses on addressing issues such as domestic violence, homelessness, substance abuse and mental health. We also foster community connections and cultural pride. Our vision extends beyond immediate support. It aims to empower women through education, advocacy and leadership development, ensuring they have the tools and confidence to navigate and influence the broader societal structures of this place we call Australia. What we also do is we don't have a time frame. Our women that come to this centre have been coming some for the 32 years that it's been in existence. One of the elders who is part of our elders group was on the first board of directors of Mudgin, and she still comes. 2 of them actually. And so we pride ourselves in that because we are a drop-in centre. It's not that, okay, you have 6 weeks to fix this person. We don't operate like that. It can be ongoing, and that's the difference between Aboriginal women's issues and non-Aboriginal women's issues, is that there's so many underlying and levels of what you have to work through, and some of those levels won't be helped or worked through in their lifetime. So all we can do is be there and help in the best capacity that we can right in the moment. And that's a really, really the centre of well-being, I reckon, is helping women in the moment. Because, hindsight's beautiful. We can all get out and talk about what we should have done. But when you're in it, only that woman that you're speaking to can tell you how she feels in that moment. And that's what we focus on. So we've developed a range of programs over the years that are tailored to the unique needs of Aboriginal women, and these include crisis support and advocacy. So we, again, providing immediate assistance and advocacy for women experiencing domestic violence, housing instability or other crises. Health and wellbeing programs, and we offer workshops, weekly workshops, health checks. Trauma-informed yoga was a yoga was a real hit here for our, especially our younger mums, because we have a weekly play group. We also have done various programs around CPR children, you know, just informing our young mums who attend our play group on all the things that you need to look out for when you've got like choking hazards, the importance of covering PowerPoints and if they do choke, what to do. And we've also had swimming lessons. So we do all these variety of things that help mums be the best mums that they can be and help women, you know, in whatever place they are in their life in the moment. And we do arts and crafts. Lots of people like doing, like, you know, painting and making jewelry, and we go on walks and talks, and we're just about to start up our very first cultural mentoring program, where a group of women will go out weekly to learn, you know, cultural spaces and places and activities. And the beauty of that program is that we've teamed with WDO, so Aboriginal women, who we all know also sit in the highest percentage of fines, will be able to pay off up to $250 off their fines per week. So when we run programs, we try to, well, what other women going to get apart from coming to the program? What can we offer? And so that's a perfect hand-in-hand example of how we use our autonomy and our uniqueness in doing programs, is that the women that attend the program have, if they've got fines, can get $250 a week off their fine by attending the mentoring program. So that's a win-win for everyone, and that's what we try and do here at Mudgin. We've also done some of the education and employment support. We had a young women's group here. I'm sure the people in the Sydney area would have heard about the violence that was going on down at Alex Park School. So I developed a young women's program for the Aboriginal girls down there. They came up, they learnt about doing resumes. We had the AES come up and talk about working part-time. They done vision boarding. They also done workshops on what is lateral violence, what is cyberbullying, what is domestic violence, family violence, all the violence. And we each week we had a Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander woman come in and share their story with them, because, you know, it's that saying, you can't be what you can't see. So we made sure that we had Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander women come in and talk to our young girls. And one of the highlights was the Redfern Legal Centre had an Aboriginal lawyer there, and so she come down and spoke to the young girls, and that the young girls think, oh my God, you're a lawyer. So it's like little things like that keep us unique and make us unique. I don't know if a lot of people also know this, but the NRL's Voice Against Violence program came out of Mudgin. I actually was the lead writer on that. That was overseen by Dixie Gordon at the time, who was the CEO, and also the Blackout Violence program, which was the initiative of Dixie Gordon, who was the CEO at the time, and the Tackling Violence program. Dixie and I both worked on with. We were actually asked as what were we? What are they called? Facilitators to go and do that. But I wrote the young person's part of that too. And another education program that came out of Mudgin was Hey Sis, I Got Your Back. Another initiative by Dixie and I when we worked together here. And that now sits, I don't know if that sits at Women's New South Wales or full stop. But that was a program, the only Aboriginal sexual assault program in New South Wales, and was never funded. So yeah, that's the downside of all the stuff that we do. But we do that stuff, and we're very passionate about it. So community impact and recognition. Mudgin has become a cornerstone of the Redfern community, offering a sanctuary for women and fostering a sense of community solidarity. Our impact extends beyond its immediate service, contributing to broader social change by advocating for the rights and needs of Aboriginal women at local, state and national levels on our own platforms, because we don't get invited to all these big round tables and all this deadly stuff where all these yarns are being talked and taken, talked and discussed about Aboriginal women. And I'm sure every organisation that's listening to me today has got Aboriginal clients and knows what I'm talking about. So the effectiveness and importance of Mudgin Gold work have been recognised through various awards, again, awards that were run by the NRL that we weren't invited to, yet the program come out of Mudgin Gold. So, when people, I don't know how many people have heard me talk, but I get very frustrated and passionate. I get very passionate about Aboriginal women and the discrimination that is impacted on us, even when we sit as CEOs in a 100% run by and for Aboriginal women's organisation. And that's what I see it. I see it as discrimination, that we are not invited to these big talks and tables that, talk about Aboriginal women, because, and I'll say this quite openly, because when women are talking about Aboriginal women in Sydney, they're talking about Aboriginal women in Redfern and Waterloo. That's who they're talking about. And yet the only 100% run by and for Aboriginal Women's Centre that sits in the heart of Redfern is never invited to these discussions. And that, my friends, is leaving out a whole group of women that are getting talked about, but their voices aren't being heard. And that's the problem. So that's a challenge. That's one of our biggest challenges, but we're resilient. We're very resilient. And every platform I get, whether it's on my own behalf or because of the book I've written and the work that I do outside of Mudgin Gold, I always bring Mudgin Gold with me, because I think that it is an extremely important place. And again, I say, because had Mudgin Gold not saved me or found me, I would not be here talking to you like I am today. So I'm very passionate about the organisation. I'm very passionate about Aboriginal women's work in this space, because we've been doing it for many, 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 many years, because this country was born on violence, and that violence started with raping, bashing, and the ripping of babies out of Aboriginal women's arms. But, like many community-based organisations, we face these challenges, and that includes funding uncertainties and the complex, multifaceted needs of women it serves. I think that people want to talk about Aboriginal women, but people don't understand Aboriginal women, because they're not talking to the women that are in it. And if you're not talking to the women that are in it, you're missing the whole story. But despite these hurdles, we have demonstrated here at Mudgin Gold our remarkable resilience, our continually adapting and expanding its services to meet the evolving needs of our community, and we will continue to do that. As we move forward, we remain committed to the foundational principles of support, empowerment, and cultural pride. Our centre aims to build on its legacy by enhancing its programs, expanding outreach efforts, and continuing to advocate for systemic changes that benefit Aboriginal women and their families. Mudgin Gold Aboriginal Women's Centre is more than a service provider. It is a symbol of strength and unity for Aboriginal women and their families, highlighting its significance in the Redfern community and beyond. Its history is a testament to the power of community-driven initiatives and the enduring spirit of Aboriginal women. That is Mudgin Gold. I probably didn't talk to any of those points there that was going through, but we've had lots of success stories. I've given you the examples on how Mudgin Gold has made a difference. Our achievements, we get these achievements, but we're never getting the awards given to our hands. But we will continue on. Whatever my vision is that I leave this organisation with millions of dollars in the bank. Mudgin Gold wants 6 apartments, not for short-term housing, not as a refuge, but as what I like to call it, a place where our women can go and take a minute. Because I always talk, when I talk about the anti-violence message and what the women we talk with, I say there's always a 50-50 chance that the woman will go back. And that's not for us to judge. What we do is we help in the moment. And if that means giving a woman a safe place to sleep with her kids for the weekend, then that's what I Need a Minute will be about. We will let women stay. We're not, I'm talking as if I'm manifesting it, for up to 3 months. And in that 3 months, we will absolutely work towards getting them appropriate housing, safe housing if that's what they choose to do. But really, because we have so many women that ring up on a Friday and they've got nowhere to go, and then we're on links to home for hours trying to get through. And a lot of the times we have to send them to this place that's up the road where there's homeless men and all the things. And that's the last thing a woman that's been bashed up with kids wants to see. Another reason why I want this 6 units, because, you know, as you're probably all aware, if you're a woman and you're lucky enough to get into a refuge and you've got twins who are 14 years old, one girl, one boy, the boy can't go with you. I've got a real issue with that, because because my son pushed his father at 14 years old, and that's when the penny dropped for me, and I thought, I'm supposed to be protecting my son, not my son protecting me. So if you've got twins and one's 14 and you get into a refuge and they say that the boy can't come, what are we showing our boys? That you don't deserve to be safe, you don't deserve to be looked after, you can't come with mum, go back to dad. So that's got to change. Something's got to give there, because, you know, if we're all in this space wanting to eliminate violence against women, and the majority of violence comes from men, we're teaching our boys at 14 years old that, you know, they're a potential perpetrator. They don't deserve safety. They can't stay with mum, but your sister can. What are we really teaching? So yeah, that's
Thanks.
what I want.
Thanks so much. Thanks
I
so
don't know if
much,
I've
Ashley.
but all I know is that I can talk
No.
and write. Can't sing or dance.
I think it's
right.
so. Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Ray.
Thank you. I was just checking. You know, it's so important, isn't it, Ashley, that, you know, there's a place for people for women to go to gather. I think no matter what area we're living in, if there is a gathering space, where do we go? It's like having a shining beacon and a safe place for you know, the Koori grapevine or the Murray grapevine, me being a Murray woman, you know, it goes faster than any social media platform once it gets onto the line. And it's so important that there is that space. But, you know, when I've heard you say many times that there hasn't been for funding for specialist services and or specialist workers. And I'm currently up here in Bundjalung country on some of the quality standards consultations. And one of the barriers that we started talking around, and it's across the sector, is as soon as you start receiving funding, say for specific KPIs or specialist, you know, DFE workers, would that negate the importance of Mudgin being a drop-in centre where you don't have those eligibilities or criterias? You know, you can be very open and flexible to actually run those, you know, those community programs that is led by the voices of women who are accessing the services. So by having specialist workers, would that change the you know, the funding arrangements or criterias for Mudgin as a service?
Yeah, the thing is with government funding is that, you know, when you fill out those submissions, these are my words and my view, I'm going to say, because I do the submissions. They're continually asking Aboriginal women who are in organisations like Mudgin or other, like you're talking about, to continually bleed their trauma onto the page of the submission, to tell them what they already know. And they already know what they want us to tell them because they've spent millions and millions of dollars on the research. So for me, I don't think that Aboriginal organisations such as Mudgin should have to do that in order to get funding by the government. If they're wanting to close the gap, if they're wanting to eliminate violence when they couldn't even reduce violence in the last plan, then the Aboriginal organisations that have got Aboriginal women, a high percentage of Aboriginal women attending those organisations, what do we? Why do we have to prove what they already know? I've given up on government funding. I don't even want government funding because then we do have to tick off all their boxes, and they only give us, every funding is for 12 months, and then you have to jump through the hoops for that, and then they can determine whether or not you're going to get it or not. So on the other hand, then we can't offer Aboriginal women security of jobs. What is it, job security? We can't even offer our women programs that are going to run longer than 12 months. So it makes no sense to me that this is the restrictions that they'll make it. Oh, here's some money here, but on the other hand, there's all these roadblocks. It's like a setup to fail. So I'm now philanthropic and donations because that's what's keeping this place. That's what has held Mudgin up over the 32 years. We've got one organisation through philanthropic funding. Had we not gotten that, Mudgin would have been gone years ago.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. And I think that, it's presents as the barriers, but in specifically for being culturally responsive and culturally safe. It is about being a bit of a agitator and change maker. These are the different eligibilities, but you can still work through.
White lens. I say it 100 times. All this stuff is viewed through a white lens, and that white lens does not see Aboriginal women. We're in the too hard basket. No one wants to deal with all the trauma that an Aboriginal woman has been through the way that we do. And no one understands it if you're not an Aboriginal woman and been raised Aboriginal. I'll put that in there. You don't understand it. So that's the missing link in this gaping gap.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts or comments that they'd like to ask on trying to bridge those systemic barriers where we're trying to literally fit a peg in a peg in a round or square box?
Depends what shape the peg is, isn't it?
That's right.
I'll ask a question.
I think it's.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, I think it's a common issue across, when we're looking at systems, and we all. It's more so for Aboriginal communities and the way in which Aboriginal services operate with being Aboriginal led, and sometimes we have to be very creative in the way we provide services and address the needs, but you keep knocking and tapping.
The beauty of Mudgin is that we're not a service where because we can give each EPA vouchers now, and I know myself when I was in the DV relationship and I'd have to go and ask for help for electricity. There's so much shame in it. So we don't do that like it's, you're going to beg for something and then you've got to tell them your life story as to why you can't pay your electricity. If you can't pay your electricity, you can't pay your electricity. It's as simple as that. I don't need to know that your man took all your money and you're on a pension, and if you say that, then you could get in trouble. And if there's people that run by the list and tick it all off, then that woman will end up in more trouble than she walk out with more trouble than she had when she walked in. We don't do that. It's not about begging for electricity or begging for a Coles card. It's if we've got it, we give it.
Yeah, the key principle of just having no judgment and
That's
supporting
right.
the need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one needs to know why you need a Coles card or electricity. You don't need to know that. Just to help them.
Yeah.
Yeah, a comment and a question. Actually, I'm I love the way, again, it doesn't matter. There's no background you need to be seeking from people, and you work with people as long as they need. That's how it should be. With the 6 apartments, Ashley, have you pitched that to anyone? And is it like overnight or is it daytime? Like a daytime kind of?
We will have a security guard. So it'll be overnight, but it'll also have like a mini Mudgin in it. So we'll have workers there, like a 24-hour like worker there, and we'll also have security. And I pitched it to the police. I only spoke to one police officer once, and then she put a little doubt in my head. She goes, "Oh well, then what if something happens to the woman? If she I don't know what the correct term is now. So forgive me, anyone in the space, self-harms or what is it? Unlived lives herself." And I didn't even think of that, because I was just thinking of keeping her safe from the man, and that's another thing. Like, what I say isn't always correct, because there's lots of things that I'm not aware of, that because my thing is keep them safe in that instance. So it'll be like but they're not allowed to bring furniture or anything like that. So that you don't, because what will happen, and I know this, that Aboriginal women, they get real comfortable in their little places, and so there's no furniture. We'll furnish it out. Just bring your clothes and your kids, and we'll help. But it'll be like a 24-hour type, like a hostel, but not a hostel. You know what I mean? Like a hostel refuge together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that idea. And I think everyone in the chat box manifesting that for you right now, by the way. Thanks, Ash.
We've got these flats across the road from Mudgin that would be perfect. But we've never had more than $1 million in our bank, so we're not going to get them on what we get, bless us.
Could I ask a
Christine,
question?
yes, Christine.
Hi, Chrissy from WDB CAS here at Nepean. Before I worked here, I worked for an Aboriginal organisation in advocacy with Sydney Region Aboriginal Corporation, and I found with the funding, we go for funding and all the rest of it, tenders and all that sort of stuff, and the mainstream monopolise the funding. So and it's for an organ like youth or Aboriginal youth and all these sort of stuff, and the next thing you know, Bernardo's has got the funding. So it is absolutely hard and relentless. I got that word out. For us to get the funding that we deserve. And you're right, we've got to pretty much victimise ourselves. And the number one thing we hate is retelling our story every time we want to do something.
The thing, Christine, is I've got a non-Aboriginal academic that's been helping me with the last 4 submissions I did, and she's developed like the big plans and things in the government. So it's not because the submissions aren't up to scratch, because she's got the know-how, the inside.
Definitely.
It's simply because of the organisation.
So they want to tell us what.
I'm so angry about it. I don't want to say angry,
And it just comes back to that thing that where they don't ask us what they want. They still want to tell us what we need. Yeah. It's just white men, the way they do things, and it hasn't changed.
Yeah. Prove to us that Aboriginal women are in the highest percentage of man bash. Prove that to us, because we don't believe you. But they've done the research that says that we are. Make it make sense.
Yeah.
Anybody else with their hands up? Or Carly?
Do I have an answer for it? No. Do you? Does anybody? And it's across the board, whether it's justice, health, NDIS, or the rest, or in the 98% projectile of being abused, neglected, financially abused, everything. So, and they've got the statistics there. They're answering their own questions before they ask the question.
On their research.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you say. And then they'll just pick a random Aboriginal organisation to give the money to if they haven't chosen one in the final tally.
And take it back off them in 18 months.
Yeah.
And then the people that miss out are the community.
Yeah, we there might be something. Have you checked out Aboriginal Hostels Limited?
Yeah, I know, but I don't want it to be a hostel like that. I don't want it where they've got to pay big rent. When you're in a hostel, you've got to pay rent and all that stuff. So this is, if you stay longer than the weekend or anything, like if you're going to be there for 2 months, then we'll have to pay a little bit. Because if they do have a house, they can get that reduced and stay there. But it's not about making money. It's about providing a space. And I know they need the money to keep the upkeep and whatnot on the apartments. But it's really, so many women have said, like, I just like when they know that, because drinking doesn't cause violence, but it certainly accelerates it. And some men use drinking as permission to be violent. That's what they do, because the woman will know, well, if he's drinking, then he's going to come home, and the likelihood that he's going to start on me. So if she's got that feeling, and the majority of women get that feeling, she can just say, oh no, I think this, I'm not staying here, and come and stay for the weekend until they're ready to talk again. And whether we like that or not, that's what happens. And so it's not for us to judge. It's like I said, it's a 50-50 chance what they do. That may be the last time she wants to leave for a weekend, and she might find her strength to leave for good, but that's entirely up to her. Or she may pack up the kids and go back on Tuesday. I don't know. But again, that's not for us to judge. It's for us there to support and to let her know that there are things that she can do in a culturally safe and subtle way. Not having a police officer with a camera on their thing and a notepad taking notes about what just happened. That's not working for our women. And that's why women aren't going to the police.
Yes, I love that you provide that service and the benefits of being that safe place where Aboriginal women know is such an important service. And just to have that sense of being heard and valued and listened to, we are all wishing nothing but the best, that there is some breakthrough or workaround in having that sort of provision where it's not going to then be encumbered with eligibility or different criteria that have to be met as part of
hoops. I don't know. I know what it's like to be bashed. I know what it feels like. I know what it's like to have two little kids see you bashed. I know what that feels like. And so I know that when a woman comes to us and she's been through that, it takes a lot of courage and strength to be able to go and ask for help. And
yes.
See, everyone's worrying about after the fact, the legal. By the time you need an ABO or you're going to court, the abuse has already happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not after the fact. And it's not like when you're in that moment and you're feeling shame and sorry for yourself and all the things that you feel. That's what we have to get into if we're really going to make a dent in this violence against women space. And we're not doing that. No one's doing that. It's all after the fact.
Yeah, so I really appreciate it. It's even drawn out, a more clearer picture of not only the significance of, what Mudgin Gold does and having all of the benefits of being a drop-in centre and provide all of those programs, but making a little bit more sense of to continue it on as is, but also have, those different units that you can spot around that are available, and to keep putting the word out there that that they will support the work that you do. It's bricks and mortar, but it's got to be filled with love and support and services.
Yeah, and it's got to be filled with the non-judgment and the non-shaming and the non-bias, all the non-words, and what's unique about us is that we're all Aboriginal women, and every single one of us here have experienced domestic violence, so we know what it feels like. So we know, and when you know what that feels like, you can almost feel the same of the women, and you know how to navigate or what to do. And sometimes that's just doing nothing. It's just sitting there. And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
sounds simple. It sounds simple, but we all know it's not. But that's the reality. Like, it's not, okay, let's go up to the police. Let's go. No, that's never going to work. But we've got a beautiful relationship, or we just developed one with one of the Aboriginal police officer at Redfern Police, and she'll come down to us if the woman wants it, and that works better.
Yeah.
So it's finding little ways. I always reckon there's always a loophole. There's always. You've just got to find it. I just haven't found it in the funding space yet. But some million, 5 million here, and we'll be right for 5 years.
So we're getting ready for.
So it's doable.
You know, it was.
It is doable. Absolutely doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's going to hear me. I keep saying the same
Someone's
thing.
gonna.
Someone's going to hear me.
Now,
The yarn hasn't
Raylene
changed.
and actually, there's a question from Tali. Are you still there, Tali?
I haven't got my glasses on. Hang on. What Carly said.
Yep, sure.
Oh,
We may not be able to answer it. It's probably a bit too big a question. We're probably not quite in enough time. You sort of touched on little things like going to the police and asking them to come down. But I was thinking, what actually needs to change? Because as a person looking on, I don't understand why this is happening, and like I do in the patriarchal sense and all of the white colonization stuff. But what needs to change to actually have this seen as important and vital?
Well, what needs to happen is that the police understand Aboriginal women. The fear of Aboriginal women going to the police. So I'll just give an example of what happened last year. This girl, she travelled in from out Mount Druitt or somewhere. She travelled in on the train, right? She came here. She was all bruised up on her legs and arms. But she didn't want to go to the police because she feared if she went to the police, he would get out on bail. Like, they'd pick him up, he'd be bailed that night, and then he'd get into her again. All she wanted to do was go home, catch a train home to her mother. And then when she got home to where she comes from, she said she was going to go to the police then. And all we could do was help her to do, her mum got her the train ticket. She stayed here. She freshened up. We gave her a Coles voucher and a Kmart voucher. She went over, got some fresh clothes, some stuff for the train. We put her on the train, and we said, please call us when you get home. Thankfully, her mum did call us and say that, yes, she did, and she went to the police. But there was, again, 50-50 chance that wouldn't have happened. But we have to just, in our hearts, think, okay, that's what she's going to do. And why she waited till when she got home is because he wouldn't go up there mucking around. Because he didn't come from the same town. But that's different if both people live and come from the same town. That worked because she was up north and he lived out Mount Druitt. You know what I mean? So it's the dynamics and where people live too, and whether they're both Aboriginal or one's Aboriginal, one's non-Aboriginal. So all the dynamics in the relationship have to come into play. But with police, she was a single woman, so that was fine. But the majority of women that are being assaulted are mothers. And the risk of having your child removed as an Aboriginal woman is the highest risk of all. So Aboriginal women would rather get bashed by their man than have their children removed. And even that sounds awful because we all know that children in DV homes are victims too. That is the reality. So there's something in there that we have to change. I haven't figured it out yet because, I'm a great believer. As I shared the story with my own son, I'm supposed to protect him, not him protect me. So there's something in there that we've got to find that loophole in there that's going to make that better. Because no one says F the ambulance, F the police, they all say F the police, F the firemen. You know what I mean? So there's something there. And one of the biggest things for Aboriginal women is having their kids removed. And because it's getting done a dime a dozen a day. And we know that if there's 3 calls with DV, then DCJ are involved. There's an alert. Women know that now. So if they've rung the police twice and it hasn't gone how they wanted it, or he's been released, because a lot of the time when women, and of my own experience, I thought I'll call the police. Yes, he's gone to jail. Another thing, you don't want them to go to jail, and death's in custody. But my answer to that is either they go to jail or you get killed. Like, you know, it's a terrible choice, but that's the likelihood. But the reality is that they're locked up, they're held for the 48 hours or whatever it is, and then they're bailed. And then the woman's, you know, calmed down a bit and then too scared to follow through with all the things that she was thinking of following through with. But if she has a minute, then she can have a weekend to think about it and not a night. You know what I mean? So it's just like alternatives, like how are we going to fix what's not working now? And it's not after the fact. Again, when we're in it. So it's about finding out, is that the only reason Aboriginal women won't ring the police, because of the fear of their children being taken? So what are we going to do about that? How do we reduce that risk of having your child removed if you call the police? Because a lot of women who are in domestic violence aren't bad mothers. They're just in bad relationships.
And it is a pretty hard thing too, because when you go from, obviously, if the children are there when the incident happens, they have to do a mandatory reporting, the police.
Yep,
and then that referral is put through to a WDV CAS. We are mandatory reporters if they disclose that the children were there at the time. So, but as the Aboriginal specialist, I'm like, were they asleep? Like, what did the police say in the narrative? All that. Because the last thing I want to do is, because I'm Aboriginal, is do a MRG. The last, and it kills me.
Yeah.
But sometimes I have to think, well, what is it, the greater good? Are they safe or aren't they safe? So I've got to catch 22, because in our job, every woman's a life, and we're not guaranteed that it's going to come through. Because how I said 49, we're at 49. If these children at Layla Park, if there was girls that were in that fire, another one at Kingswood yesterday afternoon, we're up to about 52, say, in 48 hours.
Yeah, so there's something. I think the police need a whole reshuffling. I think the government are always crying, oh, so much money's on DV and the police. Well, build domestic violence units with police from all different nationalities.
And it's going to start coming down from magistrates, because the local police can only do so much anyway.
But you know, if there's
got to go up the chain.
Police will say, I didn't become a police officer to work on domestic violence. Okay, well, that's fine. Let's build police places, because you could say, I don't know if there'll be abolitionists and everything, but the reality is there's always going to be some kind of law reform. You know, I don't see that changing anytime soon. So structure it so that they all get the proper training, the proper education. There's different nationalities, so because we're multinational, what are we, multicultural people? So that if there's an Asian woman that's rung up, then there's an Asian police officer that can understand that culture and what the difference in DV is there for some, as opposed to non-Asian. You know what I mean? Like work on our strengths, and that we're multicultural, to make things multicultural and multifaceted to work, and not just have these young 21-year-old white boys in police uniforms going out to Aboriginal community when they've probably never spoken to an Aboriginal person in their life, and having to witness that.
Well, that's what I'm trying to bring to the table, being the Aboriginal specialist here in Nepean and Hawkesbury and Blue Mountains, sitting on safety action committees, but in the safety action meetings, but because then giving Aboriginal voices to Aboriginal files. But then it's even hard for them to capture that information. Are they identified? So,
but
I can understand why they don't tell them.
Yeah, well, that's right. But I found this out the other day, you know, with the statistics around that it's not the majority of Aboriginal men that assault Aboriginal women. And that's because when an Aboriginal woman is murdered, they never identify the nationality of the perpetrator. For Aboriginal women.
But the woman they do.
Yeah, but the woman they do.
Yeah.
So
I'm just checking.
Oh, we're going over time.
Yeah, we were to finish around. We've gone over time.
You'll have to come out with Pedro Sissy and pay us a visit.
Yes, I will. And I was trying to figure out how to do a direct message to you to say, what's your email address? But we'll, yeah, if you could send that on, that would be fantastic.
Will I just still put
Ash-
in the chat now quickly?
Yes,
The work one?
Thank you. Yeah. And well, thank you so much for joining us. And I really appreciate you being such a beautiful truth teller, Ashley. And we could have sat in the space for a number of hours, but I hope and I trust we're heading off to the NAIDOC ball to be keep the fire burning and be that loud and proud and
We'll have
black
to look at
and
the loud and deadly.
Loud, proud, and deadly.
And yeah, it was a great kickoff to the NAIDOC week, looking at the awards night.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, to start it off, yeah, we've had a big bump in the road, which is most unfortunate. And we carry that, and I feel sad about it. But at the same time, we kick on with that strength and resilience to keep on picking up and supporting one another. And yeah, keep the fire burning and be loud and proud, black and deadly.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for everyone for joining us. And yeah, hope you have a beautiful rest of the NAIDOC week and you get around to attending some of the events and activities, celebrating the richness of Aboriginal peoples and cultural knowledges and ways that have sustained us and still continue to do so in a very proud and rich way. So I'll sign it off and wish you all a lovely afternoon, yeah, a beautiful rest of the week. And thank you again, Ashley.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
That was
Bye.
incredible.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Do I leave, Raylene?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.